know why you guys are here. Mass incarceration.
We coming for you, nigga.
Literally. Just kidding. Is mass incarceration a racial issue? The opening salvo in the 1990s hood cinema classic Boys in the Hood starts the viewer with what I like to call an advertisement for the 1994 Omnibus Crime Bill. On a black screen, a white-lettered statistic reads that 1 in 4 black men are either dead or in prison by the age of 18. The movie goes on to reinforce Moynihan-era underclass ideology about the defective nature of motherless black boys. After the success of Boys in the Hood, underclass tropes in film and music became a central theme and a discussion point around violence in the inner city. It was pervasive in mainstream media. The through line in all of the Hood movies was that there was a lack of policing, coupled with lenient sentences, especially for minors, and this fatherless environment was creating a hyper-violent, incorrigible super predator. The bipartisan cry for longer sentences for drug-related offenses led to the passing of the 1994 Omnibus Crime Bill, and after a few years into these draconian carceral reforms, a new phrase would go beyond the hallowed halls of academia and find its way into the public lexicon, and that would be mass incarceration. Reforms like the 100-to-1 disparity for crack over powder cocaine, meaning that if you were caught with 1 gram of rock cocaine, crack, you would be charged as if you had 100 times the amount of powder cocaine. This seemed to be aimed directly at black youth. The enterprising cooking of powder cocaine to a hardened rock-like base would create a booming industry in areas that had been devastated by deindustrialization and global free trade. These young men were part of the go-go 80s as well, and they understood the only way out of a life of poverty was by embracing a bootstrapping entrepreneurial spirit, and crack, for many, would be a pathway to the also elusive American dream. But long prison sentences for selling or even possessing small amounts of crack sent people away for decades. Before long, many politicians and pundits saw the error of their ways. Red, blue, and purple cities understood the world wasn't safer because we were locking up more people. But who were we locking up? From an NPR interview with Keith Humphreys, Stanford professor, quote, "So jails are, cities and counties run them, and if you go into a jail, you can figure out what went wrong last night or last week. But when you go into prisons, you're really looking to the past. You're meeting people who have been sentenced 5, 10, 25 years ago, and maybe are on their second or third time in prison. So prisons don't change until long after crime and punishment situation has changed. And what's going on now is after, a period of very intense crime and very intense imprisonment in the 70s and 80s, that population is now aging out. And since that time, thankfully, crime has dropped a lot in the 90s and the aughts up to the present. And young people are not entering prison," unquote. Books like The New Jim Crow painted mass incarceration as a hunt for black bodies informed by nothing more than a white supremacist ideology to round up as many black kids as possible and put them away for as long as possible. But studies have come out recently to show us that our incarceration rates in all of the United States are dropping so low that the old trope of the likelihood of a young black man to be incarcerated has now reversed, and the young black man is more likely to be a college graduate than a felon. From an article on the decline rates of mass incarceration called "Turning the Tide on Mass Incarceration," quote, "The black imprisonment rate has declined by nearly 50% since the country's peak imprisonment rate in 2008. And between 1999 and 2019, the black male incarceration rate dropped by 44%, and notable declines in black male incarceration rates were seen in all 50 states. For black men, the lifetime risk of incarceration declined by nearly half from 1999 to 2019, from 1 in 3 black men imprisoned in their lifetime to 1 in 5. While still unacceptably high, this reduction in incarceration rates means that black men are now more likely to graduate than go to prison, a flip from a decade ago. This change will help disrupt the cycle of incarceration and poverty for generations to come. Unquote. So, if racism was the engine of mass incarceration, does that mean that we've officially moved past our great original sin of racism? Or have we just found a new culprit for all of our problems to punish? To have